He's actually an engineer by trade, a long time ago, before he really changed tracks and moved to where his passion was. If you know Dr. Ravi, you'll know that his passion is about people and about mentoring. And he has a lot of passion for charity. He does a lot of work. He loves traveling. I hope to be seeing a lot more of him because he also loves Bali a lot, and I hope he moves there sometime soon so we get to see him a lot more. But without taking up a lot of his stage time, I'd like to invite Dr. Ravi. Please give him a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. Really an honor to be here, to be invited again. So I must have done something good last time that Roshan and Sashi said you should come back. So I hope I do something good today. I repeat something that I know from my experience, and I definitely enjoyed the first half of the session. Sashi's insights and excellent insights from the panel. I actually took notes from my notebook. So like Caroline said, very low tech. I did not do any videos, I just wrote down because I want my hands to learn, I want my eyes to learn, and my ears have already learned because I've heard it. So that was very, very insightful to Caroline about how we learn. So truly honored to be here. And the mentoring is all I breathe, I live, and it has somehow fallen into my lap very accidentally. And today, I've also written a book about it, so you know how crazy I am about it. And so when I get invited to speak about mentorship, I don't forget about jet lag. I just forget about jet lag. I was up at midnight for a call in the US, at 4 a.m. with another call for another US client, and here I am, 8 o'clock another call. But mentorship is what turns me on. I get the energy from just thinking about the possibilities in this world, if only we are able to get connected with the right people at the right time. So with that, so my book is called The Art of Mentoring, and I brought some copies. I'm sure you will enjoy reading. It's in English right now, and I'm actually working on getting it translated to other languages. So hopefully it will soon be in Malay. So what I'm here to talk about is really the first half, excellent insights, what do good mentors do, what do good mentees do. So some of this will be repeating, but it will be repeated in the context of Ravi. It will be repeated in the context of my own experience as I discover about this very important topic. So you're looking at Ravi in his third life. So that's why I feel fortunate I'm still here, because my first life almost ended when my mom was 8 months pregnant, and a doctor said, "Oh, we need to abort the baby." So she was in the hospital, and I was, minus 1 month, Ravi was going to be aborted, and one conversation changed everything. My aunt came and was asking where my mom was. They got into an argument, and she told the doctor, "I don't like you, I don't think you're doing the right thing," and so she took me to a different hospital, and here I am. So I'm still here. So everything is fine. So I'm so glad she had that conversation with the doctor, and I'm so glad the conversation did not go well. So sometimes you might think that something is not right, but you have to believe in the power of the universe. The universe has a bigger plan for us. And I never second guess. In fact, that's my third book I'm writing. It's called Second Guessing. Never second guess. Let the universe do its job. So if you need to have a conversation, and all of you, I'm sure they have invited many more people, but all of you said, let's go listen to this thing, what it's all about. Because that's what not second guessing means. The second life gift I got was in February 2009, about 10 years ago. My plane almost hit the helicopter carrying the President of India. This was in Mumbai. 147 of us almost died, but it was a very close call to death. We were in the newspapers, but I was, my first experience, because of that, I like Sashi said, I do charity work. We built an ultra-modern hospital in rural India because I don't want any baby to have the experience. What if that baby's aunt doesn't have the conversation? So we built a hospital, just opened in October, And this experience really launched me into MentorCloud. Because I said, I've had the best education. I went to one of the best colleges in India. I went to IIT. I have a PhD from a US school. I was number 7 in India in high school. But I almost died for no fault of mine. Okay, so I said, okay, life is short. It's not in your control. And I believe that time is God-given. So better do something. And having been in the supply chain world, now he said I've kind of shifted from engineering to what I do today. But for me, it's all the same. I believe in what I call the flow. My PhD was in fluid mechanics, and I was optimizing flow. I was optimizing flow of oil, flow of fluids, flow of water, and I designed some ultra-modern devices that you see in hybrid cars today, and I actually drive a hybrid, so it feels good. And then I did supply chain work, where it was all about flow of goods. How do I optimize from the time you make the wafers here? In fact, I was very interested. I was in Penang yesterday, but I heard Penang all live, because I used to look at the inventory positions in Penang for all my semiconductor customers. And the other time I heard Penang was Penang curry, and I believe it's not even Malaysian. So in America we make everything the same, right? So I did basically, how does the flow of goods be optimized? And then when this happened, I said, what if I optimize the supply chain of learning? What if I optimize the flow of knowledge in the world? Because knowledge is getting sort of stuck in silos. What if I unleash that? What if I connect people at the right time so this knowledge flows? And if you look at the human tribe, humans actually have thrived because we shared knowledge. Like in the stories of Sarah, the important lessons, I took a lot of notes from your stories and from your experiences. I'm a speaker for Toastmasters. So it's really, if we don't share it with the next generation, human generation will just vanish overnight. So mentoring is not rocket science. It's nothing but human beings with a clear intention to share what they know. So I want to start with a story. I think Sugandhi said she likes stories, wherever she is. So a few years ago, I was, after this sort of near-death experience in Mumbai, I met a blind student, a 16-year-old blind student, after my keynote, and he said, "Sir, I really like what I heard. I can't get into IITs, which is one of the premier colleges, because it's not, if you're visually challenged, you can't apply. So I want to go to MIT. I want to prove to the world that I can do it." So the mentor in me woke up. Said, "Wow, that's a great goal to even think about. You're visually challenged, and MIT in Cambridge is tough, even for people who have sight. It's cold, it's dark, and so I said, okay. I took up the challenge, started mentoring him. He graduated from MIT Sloan with very high honors, and now he's running 2 manufacturing companies in India. Most people think if you are visually challenged, you use some IT or some call center companies, but he's actually making stuff. So this story, actually, like some of you already mentioned, the mentors actually benefit a lot. It has transformed me personally. I, for the first time, realized that the sight and vision are not the same. There are many people in the world who have eyesight, but they don't have a vision for their life. This man, who used to be a boy when I first met him, has no sight, but phenomenal vision. He wants to do an MBA at Harvard now. He wants to get into politics. And so it's very important for all of us to initiate that, or to have that vision for our lives. Why are we here? But there is a reason why we are here. It's not just to have parties and eat, and but each of us is different. Each of us looks different. Each of us speak different language. Each of us bring different skills, because each of us is meant to do something unique. So as a result of the mentoring story and my desire, the inner desire to create an impact, I said, I became very passionate about it. I've had the opportunity to mentor several hundred students, young professionals, entrepreneurs. I teach entrepreneurship in Mexico, in Silicon Valley, and very soon it also became a profession when I launched MentorCloud. So if all of us can make our passion or profession, that's the sort of the sweet spot. And the vision I set for myself on that day in the airport is, if I I can catalyze 100 million conversations between mentors and mentees, then I will be up on the TV monitor if that accident ever happens again. So that was a very selfish motive. I said the world has to miss me. Come on, I can't just be 147 people died and they don't even tell me. So it was very selfish, but it got me on a very important journey. And so in my book, again, you will see, and some of it you already heard, I have defined mentoring in 4 words and 2 words, in 2 different ways. For the mentor, it's all about sharing. But not sharing by standing in the middle of the freeway, but sharing with someone you really care about. So for the mentor, I use the 2 words share and care. That's all. And for the mentee, you have to trust your mentor first. You have to believe that this is the person who can take me to places, who can elevate my performance levels, who can help me accomplish my goals. So trust, but then trusting is not enough. You got to act on it. So for the mentee, the 2 words are trust and act. So as long as a mentor is sharing with a sense of care and the mentee is trusting and also acting on that advice, that's when the needle moves for both. So sharing, the other 2 words for mentoring that I have simplified is sharing and learning. So in life, we always want to share what we know with the people that we care about, and then learning what you need to from the people you trust. So that's why the 2 words that I use is sharing and learning. And our life and our career will be a lot more joyful if there is a healthy mix of both. And if you think about it, sharing is outward, learning is inward. So sharing sort of gives you significance, and learning gives you success. So the other 2 words I use is success and significance. And learning is what I call consumption, and sharing is what I call contribution. So the other 2 words I use is contribution and consumption. So in life, you always have to balance these 2 sides of the story. People who are remembered in the world are the people who have done both very well. Of course, if you're always about giving, of course the world will remember you. But sometimes you have to go to school, you have to make money, you have to build families. So make sure, if there is one key takeaway, is remember this sort of consumption and contribution. When you're working with your children or students, just because somebody goes to a lot of coaching classes, a lot of training, doesn't mean much. They're only consuming, but it's all about how are they contributing. So consumption, contribution. Okay. So what mentoring is not, again we talked about it. It does not mean that one person is superior than the other. It is all about what I call wisdom asymmetry. Because we all know certain things, we all don't know certain things. And in the company, you have to create this connections. And what we heard this morning about contextual learning, because that's what creates a very healthy atmosphere. It's also not a lecture. Very important, because it's not for the mentors to come and say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do this. Then you're not wearing the mentor hat at all. So a lot of times I find my mentees are super smart. Okay, they're very, very intelligent. If they're working for your companies, they're reasonably intelligent. They don't need a lecture. They just need a little nudge. Have you thought about this? Good enough. Have you thought about, have you read this book? Have you watched the video? Have you thought about why you exist? That's good enough. For the next 6 months, the person is learning by searching inside. So it is the little nudge. Now people might say, oh my God, what does it mean to be a mentor? It's not difficult. Just be yourself. Just share your story. It's not about lecturing. It's not about influencing. It's about inspiring. Okay. And I don't know if you use this word ER. ER is emergency room. It's also not an emergency room call. Oh my God, I got fired. I need to find a mentor. No. You should have a mentor to not get fired in the first place. Okay? It's like, I have a heart attack, I have to go to the emergency room. No. Exercise regularly, eat well, so you never have to go to the emergency room. So a lot of times people don't realize, they wait for the crisis. They wait for things to break. They wait for their back to hurt before they go to the hospital. Don't wait for that. So I always say, guys, mentoring is something you do just like you're breathing. You're inhaling, exhaling, sharing, learning, sharing, learning. It's two-way street. Just make it that simple. Every day, every conversation you're not having, and I don't know where Arun is, Arun said something, every conversation you're not having, you're missing an opportunity to learn. What a wonderful statement. It's extremely important. So at the end of the week, at the end of the day, just think about it. What have I learned this week and what have I shared? If you think it's not balanced, then you're doing something wrong. Now, when you're young, it's all about learning. Right? Of course, a little bit of sharing here and there with your friends and so on. So just keep this in mind. It's also not an emergency room. So anyone can be a mentor. We talked about it briefly. I think anyone, like for me, I'm a better leader because I've got to work with so many different mentees. Entrepreneurs from Mexico, Russia, Spain, UK, India. It's just amazing how much I learn, the kind of questions they're asking. So sometimes when I am in the hot seat, I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing a really good job, right? So anyone that wishes to be a leader, anyone that feels they have a body of knowledge. Now, let me tell you about a small secret about knowledge. The more you share, the more it grows. It's not like money. When I give you money, I've lost it. When I give you my coat, I've lost it. But there are only two things in the world that I have found, maybe there are others: knowledge and love. And humor, by the way, third one. The more you share, the more it amplifies. Correct? So knowledge, it doesn't go anywhere. When I teach algebra, when I teach how to pitch, when I teach about how to write a business plan, all that knowledge is there. One day it's going to go under the earth. So might as well share it. Okay? If I have money, I'll spend it. But if I have knowledge, I just share it. Okay? So very important. So if you feel you have a body of knowledge, and if you enjoy, because mentors, like somebody asked, I think Sashi was asking, hey, can every leader be a mentor? Now, if there are some people, Steve Jobs, for all the respect we have for him, he was actually a very, very angry boss. And some of you have seen in his books and so on. So he probably would not have been a great mentor because of who he is. But he's a great inspirer. He's just incredibly creative, incredibly inspiring. So you can't put him in just be a mentor for somebody. But he did mentor Mark Zuckerberg. When Facebook was having issues, Zuckerberg ran to Steve and said, what did you do when Apple was having issues? So if you genuinely enjoy helping others, I think these are what I call the 3 traits if you want to be a mentor. And some of it is also in the book as well. So there are also a lot of myths. And the reason I wrote the book is when I started the company, nobody wanted to invest in our company. Mentoring, huh? That's what you do on a Sunday morning, right? You have nothing else to do. So just go to your local charity and you be a mentor. Okay? But somehow I said that's not the right case. So I interviewed a lot of people. Everybody said, yeah, I'm who I am because of this, because of that. So I said, I need to basically remove these myths. The first one is mentorship is actually good for the mentors. People think, oh, mentees are learning what's right for the mentors. It's actually everything for the mentors. I'll talk more about it. And it does not take a lot of time. My mentoring sessions with my mentees are only 15 minutes sometimes because I'm not giving a lecture. Initially maybe the first couple of times you may want to understand, establish the chemistry like we talked about. But after that, hey, is there one thing that's bothering you on top of mind? Like you mentioned, this boss keeps changing on me every 2 hours. What do I do? All I need is a nudge. And so it does not take a lot of time. And it is definitely a mainstream topic. If you look at Bill Gates, if you look at all the greatest CEOs, leaders, they all have someone. Now, they may not have thought about them as a mentor. A mentor is somebody that they can depend on. They can go and cry. I work with a lot of CEOs. One of the largest CEO networks is on MentorCloud. 40,000 CEOs, they want to help each other. Because I think it was Caroline that said the life of a CEO is lonely. It can be very complicated. And I can't go to my board because they'll just fire me if I keep complaining. Oh, you're not fit for this job. If I go to my employees and complain, they think I'm weak. So who do I go and cry? Who do I go and be vulnerable? Who do I go and openly discuss my challenges to other CEOs? So it is a mainstream topic, and everyone, whether it is Hollywood, whether it is sports, whether it is politics, I'm sure your own prime minister who came back, he has mentees that he is mentoring. I mean, some of them may not have worked out. I heard yesterday on my 8-hour trip to Penang, all the history of Malaysia, why the 94-year-old man came back to become your prime minister. But it's very important. It's definitely a mainstream topic, and it can be done even online. People say, oh, but mentoring, because that's where the very traditional HR mindset kicks in. Oh, I want to match people. I want them to meet. If you can match, and if the match is perfect, it's fine. But there is an inherent problem. It's like in India, we have the so-called arranged marriages, right? You are the boy, you are the girl, get married. Okay, it works in those cases because you have families and you have to somehow adjust and make things happen. But in a mentoring relationship, there's no reason. If I don't like the mentor, that is why many HR mentoring programs fail, because you are actually arranging something that there will not be chemistry. Oh, he wants to learn marketing, he's an expert in marketing, talk to each other. Arrange a class, but don't give the label of a mentor-mentee. So one of the things that we do on the technology side is let the mentee, like you said correctly, let the mentee sort of basically select. Maybe meet with one executive, meet with Sashi, meet with Caroline, and just figure out who do I feel I have the chemistry for a specific why. Very important. So if you're doing one-on-one matching, it's always one-to-one, and this mentor has to be God with all the qualities we talked about, and there are no such mentors. There's nobody with everything, But all we are looking for is allowing that connection. Doesn't matter if it is in physical space or online space. And again, I talked about it. It is not something. Oh, we have these high potentials. Let's find them mentors. Oh, we have these people who are performing well. Let's find them mentors. If you think about mentoring as contextual learning, if you think about mentoring as sharing and learning, if you think mentoring is a human-to-human interaction, everybody should be doing it. If they don't have a mentor, and if they're not a mentor, why are you paying them a salary? So my vision is everybody in an organization should be engaged in good conversations, so that they open their horizons. They get to understand, Sugandhi was saying, they understand the fabric of the organization. That's very important. The fabric cannot be taught on nice bulletin boards or lectures. You have to experience it. So some of the bits I talk about in the book. But here is why, people call me, why did you call MentorCloud? Is it because it's on Amazon Cloud? But that's not actually true. The idea of MentorCloud came when I was actually taking a walk outside and it started to rain. And I was like, wow. Because major inventions in the world happened when you're away from work. So make sure in your life you have some white space. White space means no work, no phones, no laptops, just take a walk. So that's what I was doing. And I said, my God, what is this cloud doing? It's giving me fresh water without me doing anything. If the cloud didn't exist, what would I do? I would go to the beach and get a few buckets of water, come home, boil them, capture the steam, and then drink fresh water. Right? If the cloud did not exist, we would not have fresh water. So I said, what if I get the wisdom in a company, accumulate in the cloud, and then make it available wherever the conditions are right? Like this morning, I think it rained in Malaysia, but did the water come from Malaysia? Can we tell? No. It may have come from a nation that you are not friendly with, but a cloud doesn't know. It just knows fresh water. I'm going to form the cloud over Israel. I'm going to rain on Palestine. It's only we human beings, we drew all these boundaries. The cloud doesn't know. So my vision was to remove all boundaries between knowledge. Knowledge should not have boundaries. If your organization is 100,000 people in multiple cities, they should all be working as one. So that was the idea. Just like the cloud moves water from the ocean, picks up the best water from all the kinds of resources and rains where it's most required. I said, if you can transfer wisdom from the accomplished to the people that have the desire to accomplish, You will have people in your organization who just don't want to do anything. Just leave them, that's okay. Let them come, 20% will always be like that. I've given my books to a lot of people and few people will never even open it. That's their problem, not mine, right? But we're looking at those that have desire to accomplish. So today, this is all the flights that I took to build MentorCloud. Does it look like that? No, I don't travel that much. I do travel quite a bit, but that's, that will be crazy. Boeing will give me their own plane if I travel like that. These are actually conversations between mentors and mentees across borders. This was the map I had in my mind when I started in that airport thinking, how can I create cross-global, cross-locational, cross-cultural interactions? If I do it 100 million times, world will talk about me. So this is a live example of one of our customers that are users of technology to create this boundaryless knowledge sharing and very high satisfaction. People are saying, this is amazing. I never knew that I worked for a large company. Now I feel I work for a very small company. Now this is an employee in a 210,000 employee company feeling connected. This was a mentee who was sitting in Cairo getting mentored by a mentor in Australia and someone in UK. Imagine the power. Like, she may not ever be able to travel to UK because of the human boundaries that we have drawn, the visas and everything. But knowledge, there's no boundary. So that's really what my passion and vision is, what our technology does, is to remove these boundaries. So when people ask me, hey, why do I need a mentor? It's not about the fulfilling a need. It's actually a luxury. It's actually the most selfish thing you can do is to have mentors, because when I'm sleeping here in KL, I can guarantee that there are at least 10 people in the world who are thinking about how to make Ravi successful. My mentors in Australia, my mentors in Silicon Valley, they are awake and they're saying, Ravi, since you're in Singapore, you should meet this person. You should go there. So isn't it a luxury that other people are thinking when I am sleeping about my success? Because your growth doesn't stop. Does your body stop growing when you're sleeping? It doesn't. So why should your career stop growing when you're sleeping? So think about it. If you have mentors, your career keeps growing. No logic. If somebody doesn't get even this much, they're not even fit for mentorship. They don't want to do anything. They want to be spoon-fed. Just leave them alone. So having mentors is a luxury because you are in the minds of good people. One of the greatest authors, Keith Ferrazzi, I don't know how many of you know Never Eat Alone. Some of you must have read the book. He's the New York Times best-selling author. He's thinking about me because I inspired him about 2 months ago. I wrote about him in my book, and then I happened to meet him. He's telling me, Ravi, you should go there, and as soon as I go back to US, I'm going to Vancouver for the TED conference. He's told me, just come on over there. What a luxury that somebody is thinking about me. That's what mentors do. If you inspire 3 or 4 good people and let them open doors for you, and I'll talk more about that. And also being a mentor is the smartest thing you can do, because I can go to LinkedIn and say I'm the best. I'm the best supply chain person. I'm the best PhD out there. I'm the best writer. But who cares? Because Ravi is saying it. But when the world says it, there is value. Very, very important. So it's extremely important that leaving a good legacy, if it means to you. There's some people who just want to make money and have fun and drink and just leave, that's okay. But if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to let the organization know you, know what you stand for, then being a mentor is actually a very smart thing to do. Because you will be known, you will be appreciated, you will be promoted, you will become a better leader. And a lot of times you might think, oh, I'm very good at, I can mentor anyone, I can coach anyone, until you find someone that the person is like, I really hate you. So it's a direct validation. How many of you can be professors in a school to get validated with your knowledge? Mentorship is a good way to validate. Am I making sense? If the person never comes back to me, then I know I was not helpful. So it is a direct validation for my existence. So I see it as a luxury and also a smart thing to do. So we talked about best practices. Again, a few things I say is, as mentors, when you take up someone, it's a responsibility. But it's not a huge responsibility. It's not like raising a child. Being a parent is a huge responsibility. Gosh, it's a lot. But when you wear the hat of a mentor, you need to make sure that you're opening new doors, introducing your mentees to other resources, other possibilities, and also asking a lot of thoughtful questions. Because I told you it's not about lecturing, it's not about influencing their thinking. It's about getting them to sort of realize who they are and what their issues are. And of course, you want to stay committed. And the best example is my book. My mentor said, "Hey Ravi, I hear you say this, all these things, but you should write." Because he wrote 18 books. So for him, he writes every day at 6 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour. And I'm like, I can't even get up at 6 o'clock sometimes, but he writes every day. He's at 18 books, working on the 19th. And he said he has content for 32 more books. So he said, you should write a book. I said, no way, I'm running a company, I'm running around, I'm raising funds. So next week again, he said, we should write a book. After 4 or 5 times, how long can I keep saying no time, feel guilty? Okay, fine, I started writing. And then he said, okay, I'm going to send my son with a video camera, just talk in front of the camera. That's all. Okay, that's not a problem for me. So I just said, okay, fine. And then he said, but my son doesn't know anything about mentoring. So why don't you basically give him what to ask you? So I said, okay, what is mentoring? What are the mentoring myths? What does good mentors do? What do good mentees do? Why should companies implement mentoring? Blah, blah, blah. I just gave him some topics. I didn't realize I was giving my book's table of contents. So I record all the videos and then I have my book out there. So very important that his commitment is really, and he doesn't get anything. I just wrote his name once. I do talk about him everywhere I go. His name is Rajesh Sethi, but I'm getting all the rewards. So very important to stay committed, and of course, not be judgmental, because we have all been there at once. We all had issues. We've all gotten fired or yelled at, or we did bad mistakes. So very important. Never forget the ladder after climbing. Never forget where we have been. So don't be judgmental. And very important, mentoring session or mentoring relationship is not an intellectual excitement for the mentor. Like you go to a session and you come out and say, wow, I was so good. But who cares? If the mentee is not moving the needle, if the mentee is not getting a new book to read, a new contact to pursue, a new conference to attend, or a new skill to think about, or a new problem that you have unleashed for them, then you have not done anything. So it's not intellectual excitement. It's not for you to feel good about it. And very important to be responding, because they are depending on you. So I always take Friday 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. is my mentoring hour. Everything stops. I just make sure I respond to all my mentees so that I'm not holding them from making progress. And this is very important because mentorship is inherently between human beings. So you got to have compassion. You got to appreciate the people. You got to feel that this is another human being. They may not have the same background as you. So you got to really have that human compassion. It's very important. And I thought we have some handouts, but I will make sure that we email them. So I have all of those in a handout. You do? They're in the book?
It's in the bag.
Oh, they're in the bag. Okay. So typically, how are we doing on time? Caroline?
Yeah, we're good.
Pretty good? Okay. So normally what I do is I have someone read. So who wants to start kind of reading the pledge? Because today we will all take a pledge to be a great mentor. Because to be a good mentor is to be a good human being first. So who wants to start first? Okay. So just read. Read the first lines.
Okay, I'm offering new doors and excellent possibilities for my mentee.
Okay, wonderful. Everybody says I will? Okay, it could be louder. We're not recording. Okay. Who wants to go next? You just go in circle, each one.
Go next.
Yeah.
Second sentence.
I will identify and amplify the strength of my mentees.
Identify and amplify strengths.
Yes.
It's not about focusing on their weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. What can I do? I don't have two lives to focus on my weaknesses. So I always say, forget about my weaknesses. I can always hire somebody for the weakness. Focus on the strengths and amplify it like crazy. That's all. Okay. Wonderful. I will? Okay. Number 3.
I will increase the confidence level of my mentees.
because your mentee is coming to you with a sense of vulnerability. Because normally they won't be vulnerable to everybody. They will hide their problems. So you got to increase their self-esteem. You got to say it's okay. It's okay if you're scared of being on a panel like we heard in the morning. It's okay. We've all been scared of being on a panel. Okay, agreed? Everybody increases confidence level. Next.
I will ask great questions and help my mentees prioritize.
Excellent. Asking great questions and helping them prioritize. You don't tell them, like I think somebody was saying, their mentor, as soon as you entered, they're just giving you things to do. You want them to prioritize because you want them to own the actions. It's not you telling them, it's they saying, okay, I see why this is the first thing I have to do. I remember when I was pitching MentorCloud, I was thinking, oh, these investors don't get it. These investors are all bad. They don't care about the world. But my mentor said, it's not the investors, it's you. Your pitch is not clear. Your slides are awesome. Your slides are bad. I know your vision is awesome, but your slides are bad. You need to change your pitch. So very important to really help that for your mentees. Next.
I will prevent my mentees from making emotional decisions.
Okay, I will prevent my mentees from making emotional decisions because that's where mistakes happen. A mentee, an employee may have had an argument with their boss and then say, I quit. But then they go to the next job and they have another bad boss and they quit again. So emotional decisions is not good. That's when you can help them. Okay, tell me what's going on. Maybe there's something that you can help them. Next, yeah. I'm not hearing I wills.
I will.
All right. Yes.
I will help my mentees to move the needle.
Yes, very, very important. This is a question I ask at the end of every mentoring session or an email or at the end of every week. Have I done something that my mentee moves to the right? Something new has happened. Otherwise, you're not adding value, right?
I will teach my mentees how to tell their story better.
Okay. I will teach my mentees how to tell their story better. I will.
I will.
Yes. So these are all pointers. You don't have to do everything in every mentoring session, but just keep them. If you're a mentor, just put them in on wherever your workplace is, and we can send you a digital copy. But just keep this in mind. Okay. Let's say you're having a mentoring session this afternoon. Just go through and say, okay. Just keep them in your mind. After some time, it becomes you. It becomes natural. You don't have to memorize. Right? It's like breathing. You just become a natural mentor. So depending on the context, you can do one of those things. So good. I will. Next.
I will be committed to the success of my
Agreed? Will you be as mentors? Yes? Not loud enough. Be committed. Very, very important. Because the joy, every time I tell the story of Srikanth, my mentee, it just gives me so much joy. I thank God for putting me at the right place at the right time and giving me the sense to say yes. I could have said, I don't have time. First of all, he comes from a very poor family. He was not dressed properly. I could have said, just go. I got to go. Being in the moment. Again, I'm sure some of you, the magic is in the moment. Always be in the moment and never worry about how the other person looks or what's happening next. Be here. Be in the moment. And I'm so glad that God made me this way, that I did not pass on that opportunity. And later on, he told me how many people he asked, hey, can you help me? Can you help me? They said, no, you can do this, you can do this. But look where he is today. So extremely important to what was the skill again, sorry? What was what you just read? Success of the mentor, exactly. So I was committed, I was helping him with course selection, I was helping him with buying books, selecting courses, everything. Till he launched his company. Now he's on his own. Occasionally I talk to him once a month. Next.
I will make my mentees comfortable with being vulnerable.
Yes. So making your mentees comfortable and vulnerable, because otherwise there's no point. It's not a nice conversation. Maybe the first time you have to give them a sense of comfort that they can actually open up and tell you, these are the challenges I have. I will.
I will.
Okay. Next.
I will share and care for my mentees.
Share and care. I told you that's the fundamental. Breathing, exhaling, inhaling, in and out. Sharing and caring. Very important.
I will show compassion towards my mentees.
Yes. Very, very important because you're dealing with a human being. I wrote an article on LinkedIn. engaging the human behind the employee. Don't forget the human being behind the employee. Very important. Until they come into your office doors, until they come into your organization's walls, they are a mom, a sister, a wife, a mother, something like that. So very, very important to not ignore the human, behind the employee. So compassion is, we are all capable of it. When we see little children, when somebody hurt, we naturally feel bad. So it's not something you have to go to school for. Compassion is part of being a human being. So who's next?
I will listen to my mentees without being judgmental.
Yep, judgmental. No, not at all. Very important to listen. And again, we heard on the panel too.
I will inspire my mentee.
Inspiration is important. Sometimes just telling your story is all being a mentor is about. No need to teach anything. No need to come up, oh my God, what can I do? What can I teach? Don't get stressed on being a mentor. Just tell your story. See, your story is boring to you. My story is boring to me and my wife. She tells me, I tell her, hey, can I practice my talks? No, I've written enough. Like in Singapore, I was at the breakfast meeting and she also came because it was an Indian restaurant. I said, come. And whoever I was meeting, he said, why don't you come sit with us? And she says, I hear him all the time. It's boring. Please let me be alone. So she went and sat at a different table. So your story is boring to you, but your story can inspire somebody. There are 7 billion people on this planet. And at least I can guarantee there are 6 billion people who don't have the luxuries and the experiences and the knowledge and the skills and the passion that you have. So don't think your story is boring. The way you were born, the way you actually went through elementary school, the high school, the decisions you made, your parents, look at how she shared about her dad. Wonderful stories. So you might have told this story many times, but here I am from Silicon Valley, originally from India. I'm going to now heard. I found so interesting. I wish I told my daughter doesn't drink and smoke anyway. But what a great way to teach it, right? You're teaching business. You're teaching a live value, and I'm sure your dad is sitting at the corner making sure you're safe, right? Or you must have told 2 other people, just watch her, okay? But I'm sure. So wonderful, really important to do that. Okay, I think that was the last one, right? Was there one more? Was there one more?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
I will be a sounding board for my mentee.
Being a sounding board. Basically, when I go to my mentors, I'm just sharing my ideas, and they're just giving me the feedback on, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So that's really what you want to be, that person that you can listen to, help them prioritize. Okay. So moving on, for the mentees, I talked about the importance of trusting in action. Yeah.
Could you just expand a little bit on teach my mentees how to tell a better story?
Oh, yes, I didn't expand on that. So a lot of times, in fact, that was my problem as my mentee. I did not know how to tell my story. I didn't have enough things, but I thought, who cares in this world about who I am? And later on, when people said, oh my God, the story of you being in a 2 near-death experiences, tell people. Let them know, because how it has transformed you is important, because who knows, maybe some of you had some experience like that. So helping them tell their story, because if you say, who are you? People say, oh, I am John and I have a PhD, and who cares? Your name, and it's not important. So how you express yourself, how you identify some of the key moments in your life, what are things that you're passionate about. So if there is one thing, there is one more key takeaway is start practicing. When somebody says, so what do you do? That sentence is very, very critical. I work at Leaderonomics. No, that's just what you do. But really, how you introduce yourself can make a huge difference in the other person. Because ultimately it is all about people. So how they connect with you is very important. So helping other people tell their story better is the biggest skill you can transfer. Now, I have to tell about my mentor, the Rajesh Sethi again. He uses this term called transportable story. Transportable story. Because he says, Ravi, what is your name? Ivan. So today I met Ivan and I told something about me, but my impact in the world will increase exponentially if Ivan tells about me to somebody else. Agreed? If he's the only one inspired and he says, what did Ravi say? I don't remember. I told him about my PhD, my Boeing experience, my this experience. He's just completely lost. He doesn't know how to transport it. So my mentor taught me how to leave certain transportable bits about you, about your company. So he's going to go and say, oh my God, I met Ravi today. He's a PhD. He was in a flight accident. Good enough. My mission accomplished. He's an author. Even bigger mission accomplished. So telling your story in a way that it gets transported from one human being to another human being is an extremely important thing to remember. Helpful? Okay. So to the mentees, now you're all wearing the mentees hat because I want you to have mentors. Very important. Don't think you're done. Just because you're a GM or a CEO, there's a lot to do in life. There's a lot more. If you're not on the cover page of Time magazine, we still have a lot to do. Okay, so let's find out where we can learn and grow. So like I talked about trusting in action, keeping mentors in the loop. For me, that's a very important trait when I pick my mentees. Are they keeping me in the loop? Extremely important, and also being grateful. I make sure I send thank you messages, thanking them because mentor is making time for you. Very, very important. Now, another friend of mine taught me something very important. People say time is money, but time is more valuable than money. If I lose $10 in a casino, next month I get my paycheck again. But April 10th, 9 to noon is gone forever for me. So when I'm here, I'm actually investing a part of my life with you because I can't get April 10th, 9 to noon again. So when a mentor is sitting down with you, spending even 5 minutes for you, you got to be grateful because that's part of their life. They could be drinking coffee or playing golf or spend time with the family, spend time with you. So be very conscious. Make sure that you're on time, you finish on time, you thank them. And this is one thing I encourage. Always offer help. Don't think mentors are gods. Okay? God can be your mentor, but all mentors are not gods. They're also human beings. They're also human beings. They have children. They have issues. They have bad bosses. They have bad CEOs. They are depressed. They don't have money. They have all the issues. So what I do is always, how can I help? And it's amazing how many people come back and say, can you mentor my son? Because, how many of you, I don't know how many of you have teenagers as children, it's hard to mentor you. I teach mentoring everywhere, but I can't mentor my daughter. Because it's like, yeah, you're a dad. Come on, don't give me lectures at home, Just play with me and, pick me up and take me to movies and ice cream and stuff. I can't tell her anything. So I have other people to mentor her. So mentors come and say, can you do this for me? Can you just talk to my son? And I've had phenomenal success stories. One of the greatest CEOs in India, his son is my mentee. And he's like the top HR executive. But he said, can you help? Because he may not have the skills too. Yes. Today his son is in Stanford, he's an investment banker doing really well. But it's very impossible, right? So I always offer help. So don't just be takers. And I have a nice quote at the end. And then of course mental confidentiality, we talked about it. And of course, the best thing, again, Indra Nui actually said it very clear, very nicely, and I'm going to see her in June in Australia. You have to be a mentor for somebody else. Like, I'll give an example. If I'm asking somebody, can you take me to the KL airport? The first thing the person should ask is, have you taken anyone to the airport ever? Because if you have not given a ride to the airport to somebody, what right do you have to ask somebody else for a ride to the airport? If you have not mentored someone, how can you even ask somebody to be your mentor? So you earn the right for a good mentor when you're a mentor for someone. And I also have something called help check, and we'll see if we have time. You tell me how we are doing on time. Because it's extremely important that people say, but who can I mentor? So 5 minutes, okay. So I told this person, why don't you go to your high school and just talk about your story? And he came back with literally tears. He said, I never knew my story was so valuable to my high school. So don't underestimate your story. So I have a mentee pledge, we'll skip that, but definitely just remember to thank your mentors, remember to be grateful, remember to mentor other people, because you can confidently say, hey, I'm mentoring 3 students in my school and they are all doing really well. As a mentor, what am I going to do? That's wonderful. What can I do for you? Instead of you asking, let me offer it. That's always the best, right? So, the health checkup also we will quickly skip. It is something for you to take because it's a handout now. I mean, we all go for health checkups, right? Is your blood pressure okay? Is your sugar levels okay? Thyroid's okay? This okay? That okay? But I introduced the idea of a health checkup because a lot of people go through life without ever doing this checkup. So I am the Dr. Ravi to fix this problem in the world. Let's get the health checkup. What I mean by that is, if you look at your, so if I have to call 5 people, and so what's the first question there?
Who will claim that they helped you?
Who will claim that they have helped you in a significant way? So if I call somebody, they should say, oh yeah, I helped Ravi for this, helped Ravi for this. Do you have enough people who you can say they have helped me? Write down their names. Those are your mentors or transactional mentors, and send them a nice thank you note. Send them saying, thank you so much. At that time in my career, you were there for me. It doesn't take more than 30 seconds. You don't have to write paragraphs. You don't have to write poetry. Just thank you is good enough. And the co-founder also has this thing called thank you cards, 100 ways to thank a mentor. So I will see if some of those cards will get into our platform. So thanking. So write down those 5 names, and then if you don't have 5 names, then you have work to do. Okay, you have to go find people, and people who you admire, people who you look up to, people who you feel comfortable with, and then make them your mentors. What's the next box?
Who will express their gratitude? Who will express their gratitude towards you for helping them?
Who will express gratitude to you for helping them? So who are those 5 people I can call and say, oh yeah, Sarah helped me. Yes, at that time. So I have done workshops in pretty much all continents, and there are times when people had no names to write. That means they've always been taking. They're taking help. They're getting rides to the airport all the time, but they've never given a ride to the airport to anybody. So they don't have any names to write down. So that's also a problem. Because the first part is about you receiving help. The second part is you offering help. And if you don't have at least 5 names in each of these buckets, there's something wrong. So I would really like you to reflect on it and make sure you have not 5, 10, 20, 30, 100 names that people say, oh my God, Seshi is just phenomenal. There's a big list of people. I'm sure you have inspired, touched, and transformed many people. That's a great place to be versus 1. Right? It's very important. So that's what I mean by health checkup. So I do believe that we all can share something, and that's what makes us a great leader. And I love the Leaderonomics words, growing people into leaders. Awesome. Because a leader is somebody who takes action, not a leader who's in power. The power of a leader comes by inspiring a lot of people and by taking action that creates meaningful and measurable impact in the organization or the community. And I think we all have something to learn. I learned so much in my 8-hour ride with Arun last night about Malaysia, about the language, and about so many things. It's just like amazing amount of wisdom. And so we all have something to learn because our horizons have to expand. Imagine, who would have thought that a person from a small town in the southern part of India eventually ends up in Kuala Lumpur talking about the book that he wrote. My horizons got expanded every single day through conversations, through people that have said, Ravi, you should do this. Ravi, you should do this. And one thing is, at every juncture in my life, I was very curious. And I will end with this. I know some of you have heard in English they say curiosity kills the cat.
Yes.
Okay? That's a very bad proverb. I don't know why British people have created this, right? Curiosity only kills the cat. But it is a fantastic gift for a human being. Be curious. Oh, study in America. Really? That's what I asked. Oh, study in Chennai. Wow, really?
Yeah.
So just that curiosity will take you places. It will expand your horizons. You are all curious. Hey, who is this guy, Indian guy coming from Silicon Valley talking about mentoring? I know about mentoring. You're curious. Let's go figure out.
Yeah.
It's not that you're asking, you're not taking a check or anything like that. Curiosity is the biggest gift that you should recognize. Humans are curious. Mr. Isaac Newton was curious. He was very tired in the lab. He was lying under an apple tree. Apple fell. Many people would have just picked up the apple and said, "Thank God," and just taken a bite. But this guy said, "Why did it fall down?"
Yeah.
Archimedes was taking a bath in his bathtub, and why is the water spilling out? Comes the buoyancy principle. The guy who invented steam engine was making tea. He was working all day in his lab and comes home to make tea, and he sees the lid moving. Steam engine is born. So be curious, and you will go places. And we heard about it. Mentoring culture is not rocket science. It's not being a Buddhist or Muslim or Hindu, nothing like that. It's just building a culture of one. We're all working as one. If you're all in one small room, we will work with one another. Hey, where do you find this? How do I do this? But when we grow larger, we got to create this culture to be able to work as one. So with that, thank you so much for patiently listening to me, and thank you again for the Leaderonomics team for inviting me here. So this is a code you can read. And if you don't understand, I'm happy to. We have a Q&A, right? Perfect. Yeah. So I was once waiting for my Amazon package, and I got this quote and I sent it as a tweet. Because if you're a receiver in the world, only the so-called delivery boy will miss you. When they come home, you're not there, they're fine. But if you're a giver, the whole world will miss you. If you're the person giving, you're teaching people, you're giving money, you're giving your knowledge, you're giving your time, and one day you disappear, I can guarantee, you may not be there to see it, but there'll be a long line of people saying, "Oh my God, I miss this person," because you're a giver. So remember that. Okay, so Q&A.
So again, another round of applause for Ravi. Always insightful to hear you, Ravi. We're open to questions. So anyone, first one over here. If you don't mind just speaking up a little bit louder.
So we heard this morning about learning through collaboration, and we heard a little bit about I wanted to get your thoughts about whether you think that group format mentorings are effective, particularly in corporate sort of context where there's a certain amount of apprehension at the mentee level to do, to talk about your own strengths and weaknesses on a very individual level. So just wanted to get your thoughts whether you've seen that work in any situations.
Yeah, excellent question. So her point is this concept of so-called group mentoring, because sometimes you may not want to open up to an executive one-on-one, and it's also may not be the very effective use of the executive's time to do one-on-one. So I have seen many situations when we do mentoring meetups, and we have mentors and slots and time slots. You'll find some mentors having 10 people interested in meeting that person. So we do have the so-called group mentoring sessions. Our technology tool has something called roundtables, where it's one mentor working with 10-15 mentees all at once. So if there are people who don't have the personality of being a mentor, being a good listener, having the compassion, not being judgmental, there are people who are just extremely smart, but they're not designed to be a mentor like we're talking. So in those circumstances, you should create what I call mentor lunches. So you can invite someone and say, okay, next Thursday at lunchtime, you can bring all your lunch, or you can order pizza or whatever the local food is, and then you can say this person is talking about how to get into fintech, and then people there is an intentionality around it, and it's one to many. It is sort of better use of the executive skills instead of putting him or her in a situation where they may not. That's what happens when you manually match, right? You're just forcing people to in a relationship. So I've seen it. It works very well, and so I will identify 3 kinds of mentorships. One is through a one-on-one mentoring session, no long-term relationship. I just have a 40-minute session with someone. I just I hear about this story. So some of your executives will say, oh, that is fine. Like if I go to Sashi and say, hey, Sashi, can you be a mentor? Most people will say, I don't have time. But they're not saying, I'm not a good human being. They want to help, but they don't know what it means. But whereas if you go to Sashi and say, hey, can you spend 2 hours in a month? Maybe meet somebody that wants to come and talk to you, listen to your story and how you run this organization. He's going to say, of course, 2 hours, no big deal. So I call them mentoring sessions, where we have a technology platform called Spark that facilitates the conversations. And some of those conversations can lead to relationships. I may go to Sashi and say, yeah, I think I'm feeling comfortable. You're not judgmental, you're listening well, then I can have a more 3-month, 6-month relationship. And the other part is what we call office hours, mentoring office hours, like the lunch and learn. People can say, okay, I don't want to be one-on-one mentoring, but I'm happy to share my knowledge. Because ultimately, I started the talk with saying it's about the flow. You want knowledge to flow. Does one-on-one, if it flows in one to many, doesn't matter. Do anything and everything you can to get the knowledge flowing freely, just like the cloud.
Ravi, what's your take on reverse mentoring? How is it different from what we've seen today during the day?
Yeah, so her question is, what is my take on reverse mentoring? I don't see anything called reverse, because reverse inherently means somebody is younger and you're learning from somebody younger. So that's a very old mindset in my opinion. So mentoring should not have any age connotations at all. That's why I started. It's not about one being older, the other being younger, one being wiser, other being not so wise. So the reverse mentoring is actually an old idea. It's all about mutual mentoring. It's a two-way street. The other day I just opened a new account on Instagram and I had no clue how to use it. But somebody helped me out to use Instagram, and he's going to help me learn more details about it. Doesn't make somebody younger or anything. It's all what I call wisdom asymmetry. Like it's like the fluid. It's dependent on the levels, right? Either you pour like this or pour like this, doesn't matter. So that's my take on that.
Ravi, I just want to also tap on your experience. How do we introduce mentoring in organization which have maybe no knowledge or experience? And also, how do we make it work?
Yeah. So her question is, how do you introduce mentoring? First of all, you should not use the word mentoring. the problem is, and the reason I say that is, everybody thinks they know it. Because it's the overused word. It's been coming from the Greeks. Everybody thinks they know it, but they don't. So they said, like yesterday we were in an organization, we're doing mentoring programs. After half an hour they said, when can we start? But how come you just told me you've done mentoring programs all your life? So the reason I say that, it's sort of a joke, is it's not about, I'm launching a mentoring program, now everybody sign up to be mentors, you're supposed to be mentees. It never works. You're making it obligatory. So introduce as a sharing and learning culture. We are introducing a way for our employees to support one another. We are here for each other. We will succeed only if we work together. We don't succeed if we have silos. So first, change the mindset of why you're doing this. Okay? So if it is sharing and learning, mentoring is just a word that is being used. So because of people's prior experiences, I've been a mentor, it never worked. Obviously, because you didn't know how to be a good mentor, so it never works. Right? It's like me saying, I went to Kuala Lumpur and had a bad experience. Obviously, if you went all your own without planning, you will have a bad experience. But I'm having great experience right now. So people have all these stories to tell. It's because something that they did not do it right. So that's why if you introduce the idea that we want to create a sharing and learning culture, and here is next week we're going to talk about how to be, how to share your knowledge to be recognized in the organization. If you want to be a leader, then you should come to this session. There'll be a long line of people wanting to come. And then you also say, only 50 people allowed, but there'll be 200 people waiting. Okay, that's how you create sort of scarcity. And then you tell them, guys, sharing your knowledge is like being a good leader. It's being a good mentor. Because your job is to raise the talent. So if the right choice of words is a great way to introduce. And introduce the idea of conversations. Because if you create the sense that I'm just having a conversation, more people will come forward.
difference between mentoring and coaching, but it appears to be somehow used interrelatedly, and it's a blurry line.
Yeah, actually it's not a blurry line, but it's blurry, and I get this question a lot. So our question is mentoring versus coaching, and I have it's actually very clear in my mind. I hope it becomes clear after I answer this question. So imagine in one of the slides I said you can be a mentor if you have a body of knowledge. So mentoring is a process of tapping into another person's experience. It's just as simple as that. Somebody knows how to start a company in Malaysia, and I want to learn about how to do it. The person is going to help me how to start a company, how to hire people, how to grow it, how to build a business plan. It's tapping into a body of knowledge. Coaching is about unleashing the genius within. So when I'm wearing the coach of a hat, I may not play basketball, but I can be a good basketball coach because I know how to inspire you. I know how to get the best out of you. So coaching is to bring out the genius of the other person. Mentoring is directly sharing your knowledge. That's it. So that's the difference. Now sometimes you are coaching in the conversations where you are figuring out what the person is really good at, and sometimes you're actually sharing your experiences and your stories. So mentoring and coaching are the two ends of what I call advice giving. When you are a mentor, you're sharing your experience, you're sharing your knowledge. When you're a coach, you're unleashing the genius within.
Is it that coaching is like personal facilitation of conversation, on the process of conversation? Then mentoring is a content. I mean the person experts. So sometimes we intertwine. So if you are good, then you can separate it. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think, like I said, mentoring is about a body of knowledge, so there is content involved.
So as an expert, you are transferring.
Yeah, you have to be an expert in something. You have to have a body of knowledge, so which you are transferring to the other person. Either you know how to handle, how to handle a tough boss. You know how to launch a company. You know how to do a PhD. Because if somebody comes to me, hey, how do I do a PhD? I know exactly what I want to do.
Coaching is a facilitation.
Coaching is facilitation. You are bringing the genius out.
Yes, you just know the process of facilitate.
Correct.
You may not know the content.
You don't have to know the content. That's why I said a basketball coach, many of them don't even play basketball.
Yes.
And one of my good friends is actually a coach to the CEO of Boeing. But he has never been a CEO. Imagine coaching a CEO of a company like Boeing. But what is he doing? He's understanding this person's fire, that inner fire within the person. What is it that is stopping him to become successful? Because he's not a CEO of a big company like Boeing, so there's no way, there's no transfer of knowledge. Because my coachee knows more about how to run a company like Boeing. But this person is unleashing that fire within and turning it on.
Okay, what's the difference between coaching and facilitation? Both also process oriented. Is that facilitation more on group?
Yeah, facilitation is completely group related. It's not one-on-one at all.
Coaching is like, could be one-on-one, could be like, some of them is like group coaching.
Yeah, you could do group coaching too. Like if you see in sports, it's pretty much, you coach people. But in the corporate setting, coaching is always one-on-one. Because I want my coachee to tell his or her problems. Like, recently I heard a story. One of my investors and advisors, he has coached 5,000 people. He has a title top coach on LinkedIn. So when he works with people, he's not trying to share anything from his body of knowledge. So one of the stories he was saying is the CEO is not able to accomplish. After some time, the coach or the coachee actually said the problem is at home. There's some issue, his wife is not feeling well, so it is causing a lot of stress, and that stress is coming to work, and as a result his employees really hate the CEO and everything is messed up. But the problem is elsewhere, and only a coach can actually bring that out and find a solution for it.
So for being a parent, it's good to use mentoring or coaching.
I'm still figuring out. In fact, my wife is writing a book called Conscious Parenting. So I would say, actually, it's a very good point. I find in my case, my daughter is 20 years old now, and Sometimes I'm a mentor, I'm actually teaching her how to write an email, how to apply for internships, how to write a cover letters. I'm actually teaching. But I would say, that's a great question. I would say 70% of the time, you're being a coach. Because you don't want, children are not machines, they're not metal. I want them to be a doctor, so just like somehow make them a doctor. That's not the idea. I want to know what her genius is. And today I can tell, my daughter is a singer, she's an artist, she has her own album, because we constantly observed. What is it that she's doing without complaining? Homework, lots of complaints. Singing, no complaints. So what do we do as parents? Take her to concerts, make her sing on stage. And today she has an album.
Wow.
So it's a great question to ask. I will include in my book that my wife is working on. In our book, parent, you should be a coach because you are igniting the genius within. Don't be a mentor in that case. Sometimes you may have to be, but don't mold them the way you want them to be. Let them be who they are. Let them be, a flower that blossoms whenever that it is ready. You can't force fit a rose and say, "Come on, blossom now. Come on, I need you in a garland or something." Good, excellent question. I've never been asked around the world, never, as a parent, what your role is. Wonderful.
I think there is one.
Oh, can we give the chance to him if you don't mind?
Ravi, just very quickly to ask. I mean, we hear this is always the conundrum, right? Mentoring, coaching, and now I think there's a third element to it. Coaching, I mean, hearing people say performance coach versus career coach. To me, it sounds all in one. It's still a magic. So, what are your thoughts about performance coaching? How different it is between a mentoring and actual coaching?
So, let me see if I understand the question. So, performance coach versus career coach, right? So let's stay on the so-called coaching side now. Now, the performance is very individualistic, right? It's focused on the individual. Career is based on your choices. So, if I have a career coach, that person is helping me figure out if I am in the right road. So think of it, I'm driving a car. So performance coach is he or she is teaching me how to drive the car well. Right? Make sure you're sitting straight, you have all the mirrors set correctly. It's based on the individual. The career coach is telling me, am I on the right highway or not? Because I may want to go to Penang, but I'm going south. Right? I think Penang is north of here, correct? Yeah. So I have the best Tesla, okay, fully charged, superstar, brand new Tesla, but I'm going in the wrong direction. A career coach is going to say, go the other direction, okay? Whereas performance coach is not focused on the road, but more on how I'm performing. Am I sober? Am I on the mirror setup and so on? So performance is individualistic. Career would be more the so-called direction that you're on.
So would it be closer to mentoring, the performance coach?
No, both are coaching only. Mentoring is body of knowledge, complete body of knowledge. Now you can say the performance coaching is sort of like mentoring.
I'm telling you.
Exactly, I'm telling you, exactly. So performance coaching is mentoring. I think that's a great way to say it. Agreed.
So can we say it's a performance mentoring other than performance coaching? We're coaching about process, not the content. So how can I teach someone the performance without teaching the content? Actually, the right term, can it be performance mentoring?
Absolutely. I think the point is making is when you talk about performance, you're actually sharing knowledge. So you rather call it performance mentoring. Absolutely. Again, it's how you contextualize the words, but you get the point. Absolutely. Anyone?
Is performance mentoring important if the mentor doesn't have that experience or background? Can they still do the job? Can they still do it?
Yeah. So is performance mentoring if the mentor is not performing?
Doesn't have the
That's not the experience.
Doesn't have that body of knowledge.
So if I want to be, let's say, my goal in the next 10 years is to be, a senior vice president of marketing. Okay, a coach can perhaps give me certain things that I can be a coach, I can get there. Just more on the personality side of things. But if I have a mentor who is not a SVP of marketing, that person will never know what it means to be SVP marketing. So you just fire that mentor. First of all, you shouldn't have that mentor in the first place. But if you ever end up like that, then say no. Because I would rather, like, right now, my mentors are the worst. Like, one of my mentors, he has sold a company for 2.3 billion. So he knows exactly where he started, the struggles that he faced, the fights he had with his board, the arguments he had at his home, how he raised his money, how he sold the company. So I'm just going to shamelessly extract from that body of knowledge and figure out how I can grow MentorCloud to be that big. So I will not talk to someone who has never started a company and then, can you help me become a billion dollar company? He would not know or she would not know. So that person is the wrong choice. Okay?
I think some of the challenges I face is there may be over-dependence on a mentor. How can you overcome that? So you don't want them to only listen to and not make their own decisions, but you want them to also have that freedom of thought.
Yeah, that's a great question. Over dependence. I have a story. You know, my mentor Rajesh Sethi, right? So very early on, he has done 7 companies, and I told you he's written about 18 books and 32 more in the pipeline. I don't know when he eats and sleeps, but he does these things. Incredibly creative. So when I was just starting my journey, I would always say, you know, I will be joined by my colleague Rajesh. And after 2 or 3 meetings, he kind of said, you know, Ravi is depending on me. He told me this now. Back then he said, oh, I can't make it, Ravi, but you go ahead. So initially I would cancel my meetings because I didn't feel comfortable enough to go and pitch. Eventually I said, okay, this guy's canceling too many times. But then he told me just literally about 6 or 8 months ago, I was doing this deliberately. I am fully available. I'm sitting at home and watching TV or having coffee, but I didn't want you. I want you to be there. So a lot of meetings today, he never even comes because he feels I need to be there on my own. So for those mentors who feel your mentees are dependable, it's not lying, but sort of lying. But it's not lying. You say, oh, I can't make it that time. Oh my God, but you go. Don't cancel it. Don't ask for rescheduling because your mentee will say, can I reschedule? No. Just go. If I can make it, I will come, but you don't go. And you see how much your mentee is growing in the process. I guess that's the last question. Thank you all for your warm reception.